The strange signal came in during the quiet hours of Earth's deep space monitoring station. It was Jake Miller who first noticed it, a young communications officer with 3 years of experience and a talent for finding patterns in noise. The signal wasn't like anything in their database. Not a natural cosmic event, not a human transmission, and definitely not random. Sir, you might want to take a look at this. Jake called to his supervisor. Station Chief Laura Daniels moved across the room quickly, her coffee forgotten on her desk. She leaned over Jake's shoulder, eyes narrowing at the display. 20 years in space communications had taught her to trust her instincts, and right now those instincts were screaming that this was important. How long has it been transmitting? She asked. Can't say for sure. We've been receiving it for about 40 minutes now. It's coming from the direction of Epsilon Eridani, roughly 10.5 light years away. Laura nodded slowly. Run it through the translation matrix again and get me a direct line to Captain Grant on the Ascendant. Within an hour, Captain Olivia Grant was staring at the same. Signal data in the command center of the U.S. Ascendant, Earth's most advanced warship. The Ascendant was currently docked at the lunar military base undergoing routine maintenance. Captain Grant was a tall woman with short gray hair and eyes that didn't miss much. She had served in the United Earth Defense Force for over 20 years, but this was new territory. Play it again, she ordered. The ship's AI complied, and the strange pulsing sound filled the command center. It wasn't a language exactly, but it followed patterns that suggested intelligence. Dr. Allen, your thoughts? She asked. Dr. Peter Allen was the ship's xenolinguist, a man who had dedicated his life to the theoretical study of alien communication. Until now, his expertise had been purely academic. He adjusted his glasses and cleared his throat. It's definitely artificial, Captain. The pattern repeats with slight variations that suggest it's not just an automated beacon. Someone is sending this message. Deliberately, he paused, checking his tablet. And there's something embedded in the carrier wave. It looks like, well, it matches protocols outlined in the information packet we received from the Galactic Concord during First Contact. First Contact had happened just 3 years ago when a scout ship from the Concord had entered Earth's solar system. The meeting had been peaceful, but brief. Earth was classified as a death world, a planet with gravity, radiation levels, and biological threats that most galactic species considered extremely dangerous. Humans were acknowledged, but essentially quarantined to their solar system, deemed too potentially dangerous for unrestricted travel. So it's a distress call. Captain, Grant said it wasn't a question. Yes, universal distress frequencies as defined by the Concordate. Dr. Allen confirmed. Someone out there needs help. Captain Grant's executive officer, Commander Ryan Ellis, frowned deeply. Captain, we're not even official members of the Concordant. We're still classified as probationary sentients. We have no obligation to respond. Obligation, no. Captain Grant, agreed, but capability, yes. She turned to her tactical officer, Lieutenant Kyle Winters, a younger officer with a serious expression that made him look older than his 30 years. Lieutenant, how quickly could we have the Ascendant ready for deep space? Lieutenant Winters didn't hesitate. The maintenance cycle can be expedited, 12 hours minimum. Make it happen. Captain Grant nodded firmly, then turned to her communications officer. Give me a direct line to Admiral Donovan at UEDF headquarters. Priority. Alpha. The call to Earth Defense Force headquarters was brief and to the point. Admiral Frank Donovan listened to Captain Grant's report without interruption, his weathered face giving away nothing. You're certain this is a legitimate distress call? He asked when she finished. As certain as we can be, sir, Captain Grant replied. Dr. Allen confirms it matches the Concord protocols we were given. And you want to respond? Admiral Donovan asked, though he already knew the answer. Yes, sir. I believe we should. There was a long pause as the Admiral considered Earth's relationship with the wider galactic Community was still new and fragile. The Concord had made it clear that humans were viewed with caution, a species that evolved on a high-gravity, high-radiation world full of predators and disease. Humans were stronger, more durable, and more adaptable than most species. They also had a history of violence that made the Concord nervous. This could be seen as overstepping our bounds. The Admiral said finally, the Concord might not appreciate us inserting ourselves into their affairs. With respect, sir, Captain Grant countered. The Concord gave us those protocols for a reason. If someone is asking for help and we can provide it, isn't that exactly the kind of first impression we want to make? Admiral Donovan's stern expression softened slightly. You make it compelling. Point, Captain. Very well. I'll authorize the mission, but not just the Ascendant. If we're doing this, we're doing it properly. He tapped his console, bringing up a display of Earth's defense fleet. I'm authorizing Battle Group Omega to respond to this distress call. 5 ships, including yours as the lead vessel. This will be the first official human military expedition beyond our solar system. Captain, make it count. Yes, sir, Captain Grant replied, straightening her posture. We won't let Earth down. Within hours, the news spread to the ranks of the United Earth Defense Force. For the first time, a human battle group would travel beyond the solar system on an official mission. The UES Ascendant would lead, accompanied by the cruisers, Intrepid and Valiant, and the destroyers Defender and Guardian. In the Ascendant's mess hall, the crew buzzed with excitement and anxiety. Many had joined the UEDF, hoping for exactly this kind of mission, but few had expected it so soon. Do you think it's some kind of test? Asked Enan Diane Foster, a navigation specialist on her first deep space assignment. Maybe the Concord is seeing how we'll respond. If it is, we better pass, replied Sergeant Greg Owens from the ship's Marine Detachment. This could be humanity's big chance to prove we're not just the dangerous apes they think we are. As the ship prepared for departure, Captain Grant reviewed the mission details one last time. The distress signal had been traced to a star system near Arcturus, approximately 3 weeks away at their best FDL speeds. They had no idea what they would find there, or if they would arrive in time to help. Engineering reports, all systems ready. Captain Commander Ellis reported. The battle group is prepared to depart on your command. Captain Grant nodded and stood from her chair on the bridge. All hands, prepare for departure. Our mission is clear. We received a call for help, and we're going to answer it. That's what humans do. As the 5 ships of Battle Group Omega broke orbit from Earth's moon, Captain Grant couldn't help but feel the weight of what they were undertaking. This wasn't just a rescue mission. It was humanity's first real step into the galactic community. FDL drives engaged, Lieutenant Winters reported. Course laid in for the Arcturus sector. Take us out, Lieutenant. Captain Grant ordered. Best speed. The ships of Battle Group Omega accelerated to faster-than-light speeds, leaving the solar system behind. None of them knew what awaited them at their destination, but one thing was certain. The galaxy was about to learn that when humans got an SOS, they answered it, and they came ready for trouble. 3 days into their journey, Admiral Frank Donovan called a strategy meeting aboard the flagship UES Ascendant. The 5 ship commanders gathered in the conference room, their faces showing a mix of determination and uncertainty. This mission was unlike anything humanity had attempted before. The latest signal analysis confirms our initial findings. Admiral Donovan began, gesturing to the holographic display in the center of the table. The distress call originated from a star system near Arcturus, approximately 36 light-years from Earth. Dr. Allen has made progress decoding more of the message. Dr. Peter. Allen stood up, adjusting his glasses nervously. For years, he had studied theoretical alien languages. Now he was putting that knowledge to real use. The signal contains more than just standard distress protocols, he explained. There are data packets embedded within it. From what we can tell, the senders are a species called the Valari. They're described in the Concordat database as peaceful traders who specialize in rare minerals and technology exchange. He tapped his tablet, and the hologram changed to show an alien life form. The Valari appeared tall and slender with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer slightly. Their forearms and large eyes gave them an almost delicate appearance. They're under attack by another species. Dr. Allen continued. The Krivac to Concord data on them is limited, but they're known for aggressive expansion and raiding. A new image appeared showing a heavily armored insect-like alien with sharp mandibles and a chitinous exoskeleton. Captain Olivia Grant studied the image carefully. Do we know their capabilities, weapons, ships, numbers? She asked. Limited information, Dr. Allen admitted, but we know they use organic-based technology. Their ships are partially grown rather than fully built, and they typically attack in large numbers. Commander Susan Rivera of the UES Intrepid frowned. We're flying blind into what could be a major conflict. Are we sure this is wise? That's why we're spending the journey preparing. Admiral Donovan replied firmly. Every possible scenario, every training simulation we can run by the time we arrive. If I want our crews ready for anything. Captain Grant nodded. In agreement. My tactical officer has already begun running combat drills specific to what little we know about CVAC technology. Good, said Admiral Donovan, because we're not just representing the UES Ascendant or even Battle Group Omega. We're representing Earth and all of humanity. This is our first chance to show the galaxy what kind of people we are. As the meeting ended, Captain Grant returned to the Ascendant's bridge. Lieutenant Kyle Winters was waiting with the latest training results. How are the simulations going? She asked. Mixed results, Captain, he replied. The CAC combat style is unlike anything we've trained for. Their ships move almost like living creatures, unpredictable and fluid, but we're adapting our strategies. Keep at it, she encouraged. If there's one thing humans are good at, it's adapting. In the days that followed, Battle Group Omega settled into a rhythm of drills, strategy, sessions, and equipment checks. The engineers worked around clock to ensure the experimental FDL drives remained stable for the extended journey. The weapons teams calibrated their systems for potential combat scenarios. The Marine units practiced boarding operations in low-gravity environments. 2 weeks into the journey, they received another transmission from the Valari. The signal was weaker this time, suggesting their situation had worsened. They're under siege, Dr. Allen reported after, analyzing the new data. The Kryaks have blockaded their main colony and are systematically destroying their defenses. They don't expect to hold out much longer. How much longer until we arrive? Admiral Donovan asked. 6 days at current speed, replied the navigation officer. Push the engines to maximum, ordered the admiral. We need to get there faster. The engineers warned against pushing the experimental drives beyond tested limits, but the urgency of the situation left no choice. Chief Engineer Abby Reeves worked miracles with propulsion systems, coaxing more speed out of the drives than anyone thought possible. The designs are solid, she insisted when Captain Grant expressed concern. They're just untested at these sustain levels. But if anyone can handle it, it's this ship. 4 days later, as the battle group approached the Arcturus sector, the Indy began detecting signs of the conflict. Debris, fields scattered across space, energy readings consistent with weapon discharges, and increasingly desperate communications from the Valari. They're holding out in a fortified space station. Dr. Allen reported most of their fleet has been destroyed. In the final briefing before arrival, Admiral Donovan addressed the commanders one last time. We don't know exactly what we're flying into, he said bluntly, but we know someone needs our help. The Concorde may have classified Earth as a death world, but they're about to learn that growing up on a challenging planet made us strong, not cruel. We fight when we must, but we also protect those who cannot protect themselves. He looked around the room at the determined faces of his officers. Battle stations in 30 minutes. We drop out of FTL in 1 hour. Show them what humanity stands for. As the officers return to their ships, Captain Grant pulled Lieutenant Winters aside. Kyle, if this goes badly, I want you to know it's been an honor serving with you. The young tactical officer smiled slightly. It won't go badly, Captain. We've got surprise on our side. The Kreks have no idea what's coming for them. And what's that? She asked. Us, he said simply. Humans, the species that thrived on a world that would kill most aliens. The species that turned survival into an art form. As the battle group prepared for arrival, activity throughout the 5 ships reached a fever pitch. Weapon systems were brought online. Shields were charged to maximum capacity. Fighter squadrons prepared for launch. Medical teams stood ready for casualties. In the Ascendant's Marine Bay, Sergeant Greg Owens addressed the squad. We don't know these Valari. We don't know if they do the same for us, but that's not why we're here. We're here because it's the right thing to do. On the bridge, Captain Grant watched the countdown to FTL exit. All hands. This is the captain. In 5 minutes, we will arrive at our destination. We are about to engage in humanity's first battle. Beyond our solar system. Remember your training. Remember who we are and what we stand for. And remember that the galaxy is watching. As the seconds ticked down, a strange calm settled over the ship. They had trained for this. They were ready. Exiting FTL in 3, 2, 1. The swirling lights of faster-than-light travel fell away, revealing a scene of chaos and destruction. Directly ahead, a massive crystalline space station was under heavy bombardment from dozens of organic-looking ships. Explosions bloomed silently in the vacuum of space as the station's outer defenses failed. Scan the battlefield, ordered Admiral Donovan from the command ship. Identified targets in defensive positions. Before the scan was complete, the enemy noticed them. Several Kryax vessels broke off from the siege and turned toward the human battle group. They're scanning us, reported Lieutenant Winters, and charging weapons. Captain Grant stood from her chair. Shields up, weapons hot. All hands. Prepare for combat. Let's show them what Deathworlders can do. The CVAC ships move with unsettling grace for their size, advancing toward the human battle group, like predators sensing new prey. Their organic-looking hulls pulsed, with strange lights and weapon ports open like hungry mouths along their sides. They're hailing us. Lieutenant Winters reported from his tactical station. Captain Grant exchanged a quick glance with Admiral Donovan, who had remained on the Ascendant as his command ship. He nodded once. On Kreen, she ordered. The main view screen flickered, and the bridge crew got their first real look at a Kryax. The alien commander was even more intimidating than the database images had suggested. Its exoskeleton was a deep reddish black and multiple. Compound eyes glittered coldly. Sharp mandibles clicked together as it began to speak, its words translated by the ship's computer. Unidentified vessels, this conflict does not concern you. Depart immediately or be destroyed. Captain Grant stood tall. This is Captain Olivia Grant of the United Earth Defense Force. We received a distress call under Galactic Concord protocols and are here to render assistance. The Krax's mandibles clicked rapidly, a gesture that might have been amusement or anger. Earth, the death world. Your primitive species should have stayed in. Your gravity well where you belong. You have 10 minutes to retreat. The transmission cut off. Abruptly, charming fellow, Admiral Donovan said dryly, Status of the Valari. Station. Science Officer Allen Wright studied his readings. Their shields are at critical levels, sir. Life support appears to be failing in the outer sections. I'm detecting approximately 3,000 life forms aboard. And the Kryax fleet, 28 vessels of varying sizes. 5 appear to be capital ships. The rest are smaller attack craft. They're well armed, but our scans indicate their shields are primarily designed to deflect energy. Weapons, not kinetic impacts. Admiral Donovan nodded thoughtfully. That could work to our advantage. Captain Grant Deploy the battle group in Formation Delta. Cruisers Intrepid and Valiant to flank positions. Destroyers Defender and Guardian to provide covering fire. Yes, sir, she replied, relaying the orders. As the human ships moved into position, the Kryvax commander hailed them again. Your time is running out. Humans, this is your final warning. Admiral Donovan stepped forward. This is Admiral Frank Donovan of the United Earth Defense Force. We will not abandon those who have asked for our help. We request that you cease your attack on the Valari station and withdraw from this system immediately. The CVX commander's eyes seemed to narrow. So the Deathworlders wish to die alongside the Valari. Your primitive vessels are no match for our biotechnology. This will be a valuable lesson for other species who might consider interfering in Kryvac affairs. The transmission ended, and Lieutenant Winters called out from his station. Multiple enemy vessels changing course. They're moving to engage us. They're not waiting for the 10 minutes to expire. Captain Grant observed. They never intended to, Admiral Donovan replied. Battle stations. All ships prepared to engage. Throughout Battle Group Omega, klaxons sounded as crews rushed there. Combat positions. Fighter squadrons launched from the Ascendant and Intrepid, small and agile craft designed for space combat. Enemy vessels entering weapons range in 30 seconds. Lieutenant Winters reported. Hold fire until my command, Admiral Donovan ordered. Let them make the first move. The Krayax didn't hesitate. Their lead ships fired a barrage of energy. Weapons, bright purple beams that stray across space toward the human vessels. Evasive maneuvers, Captain Grant ordered. The Ascendant banked sharply, its point defense systems automatically tracking and intercepting the incoming fire. Most of the beams were deflected by the ship's shields, but two struck the hull directly, leaving scorch marks on the armor plating. Shields holding at 92%, reported the engineering officer. Minimal damage to outer hull. Admiral Donovan's expression remained calm. Now we know their weapons capabilities. Return fire. All ships. Execute fire plan Omega. What followed surprised the KX. Commander, instead of energy weapons like most galactic species used, the human ships fired solid projectiles. Tungsten rods accelerated to incredible speeds by magnetic launchers. These kinetic kill weapons, simple in concept but devastating in execution, tore through the CVAC shield that had been designed to stop energy attacks. Direct hits on 3 enemy vessels, Lieutenant Winters announced, unable to keep the excitement from his voice. Their shields didn't stop our rail guns. On the main view screen, they watched as one of the smaller Kryvac ships spun out of control, venting atmosphere from multiple hull breaches. Launch missile barrage targets Alpha through Echo, ordered Admiral Donovan. The human ships released a wave of missiles, each one carrying a conventional warhead. The KX point defense systems managed to intercept some, but others found their marks exploding against the organic hulls of the alien vessels. The KX responded with increased fury, focusing their fire on the Ascendant as they identified it as a command ship. The bridge shook as multiple hits landed in quick succession. Shields at 75% called out the engineering officer. We can't take sustained fire like this. Captain Grant turned to Lieutenant Winters. They're focusing on us. Time to show them another human tactic. Execute maneuver Broken Arrow. The tactical officer grinned as he relayed the commands. The Ascendant suddenly cut its engines and appeared to drift as if severely damaged. Meanwhile, the cruisers Intrepid and Valiant accelerated, positioning themselves to flank the attacking Kryvac vessels. They're taking the bait, Admiral Donovan observed as several Kryak ships moved in, closer to finish off the seemingly crippled Ascendant. Now, Captain Grant ordered. The Ascendant's engines roared back to life, and the ship unleashed a point-blank barrage at the nearest CVX vessel. Simultaneously, the Intrepid and Valiant opened fire from their flanking positions, catching the CVX in a devastating crossfire. 2 more enemy ships were crippled, their organic hulls ripped apart by the unexpected assault. The remaining Cryax vessels began to pull back, clearly reassessing their approach. They're regrouping, Lieutenant Winters reported. Looks like they're preparing for a more coordinated attack. What's the status of the Valari station? Captain Grant asked. Science Officer Wright checked his readings. Their main shields are failing, but the Cryax have diverted most of their forces to deal with us. It's bought the Valari some time. Admiral Donovan studied the tactical display. We surprised them, but they still outnumber us. We need to reach that station before they regroup. Captain Grant nodded. All ships form up on the Ascendant. We're going to punch through their line and establish a defensive perimeter around the Valari station. As Battle Group Omega reformed and prepared to advance, the Krivac commander hailed him again. This time, there was no mistaking the anger in its posture. You fight unexpectedly well for primitives, it admitted, but you have only delayed the inevitable. The Valari and their resources belong to the Cax Imperium now. Admiral Donovan, step forward. You've underestimated us once. I suggest you don't make that mistake again. This is your last chance to withdraw. The CVAC commander's mandibles clacked. Rapidly. The Concorder was right to fear your kind, but fear will not save you today. As the transmission ended, Lieutenant Winters looked up from his console. Sir, the CAC fleet is moving. Again, all ships are converging on our position. Admiral Donovan's expression hardened. So be it. All ships prepare. For Phase 2, let's show them what humans do when backed into a corner. The Kravok fleet moved with new purpose. Their ships forming attack patterns that showed they no longer underestimated the human vessels. Their initial arrogance had faded after the first exchange of fire. Now they approach with caution and coordinated tactics. They're adapting to our strategies, Lieutenant Winters observed from his tactical station. This next attack will be more organized. Admiral Donovan nodded. Grimly, that's the problem with surprising someone. It only works once. He turned to Captain Grant. Time for Plan Hammer. Captain Grant relayed the orders to the battle group. The 5 human ships began to move in what appeared to be random directions, breaking their previous formation. The KCs are tracking our movements, Science Officer Wright reported. They're splitting their forces to pursue. Just as we hoped, Admiral. Donovan said, ready the package. Deep in the Ascendant's launch bay, a special team prepared what the crew had nicknamed the surprise box. It was a simple container filled with thousands of small metal spheres, each one packed with a compact but powerful explosive. Earth's engineers had designed this weapon specifically for space combat, where shrapnel could be devastating against unarmored targets. Package ready for deployment, the launch officer reported. Wait for my mark. Admiral Donovan ordered. He watched the tactical display carefully as the Krivac ships continued to spread out, trying to surround the seemingly disorganized human vessels. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the Valari station, Lieutenant Winters announced. Put it through, Captain Grant said. The view screen showed a Valari for the first time, tall and slender with shimmering blue skin and 4 long arms. Its large eyes blinked rapidly in what might have been shock or relief. Unknown defenders, we are the Valari Collective. You responded to our distress call when none would. We are grateful, but you must know the Cryax will show no mercy. Their fleet is too powerful. Admiral Donovan stepped forward. We are the United Earth Defense Force. We came to help, and we don't plan on leaving until the job is done. Can your station hold a little longer? Our primary shields are failing. Life support is stable in the central sectors only. We have many wounded. The Valari representative replied. Who are you? Your species is not known to us. We're humans from Earth, Captain Grant explained. We're relatively new to galactic affairs. The Valari's eyes widened slightly. Earth, the Death World Quarantine Zone. The Concordances. Warning said your kind were dangerous. Admiral Donovan smiled thinly today. That works in your favor. Stand by. We're about to create a diversion. As the transmission ended, he turned back to the tactical display. The CVAC ships had spread out further, each group pursuing a human vessel. Now he ordered, deploy the package and execute Hammerfall. From the Ascendant's launch bay, the container was ejected into space. It drifted for several seconds before detonating, releasing thousands of explosive metal spheres in all directions. Simultaneously, all 5 human ships cut their engines, activated emergency thrusters, and reversed course, in a maneuver that would have crushed any crew not used to hygiene environments. The Cryax ships were caught completely unprepared. The metal spheres spread across a wide area, and as they encountered the alien vessels, they exploded on contact. Shrapnel tore through the organic hulls of the Cryax ships, causing cascading damage. Direct hits across the enemy fleet. Lieutenant Winters reported, excitement clear in his voice. Multiple ships reporting hull breaches and system failures, while the Cryax dealt with this unexpected attack. The human ships regrouped and accelerated toward the Valari station at full speed. They formed a protective formation around the damaged structure, established a defensive perimeter. Admiral Donovan ordered, prepare boarding teams. We need to get engineers onto that station to help stabilize their systems. Captain Grant turned to her communications officer. Signal to Valeri. Tell them we're sending help aboard. In the Marine Bay, Sergeant Greg Owens led his squad through final equipment checks. They wore armored spacesuits designed for combat in zero-gravity environments. Remember your training, he told his team. We don't know what conditions we'll find inside the station. The Valari are our allies, but we've never encountered them before. Stay alert and follow protocols. The Marine Transport Shuttle launched from the Ascendant, accelerating toward the Valari station. 2 other shuttles from the Intrepid and Valiant followed, carrying engineering teams and medical personnel. As they approached the station, Sergeant Owens got his first close look at the damage. Large sections of the crystalline structure were shattered and debris floated in a cloud around it. Emergency force fields contained the atmosphere in some areas, while others were completely exposed to space. Approaching docking port 6, the shuttle pilot announced. The Valari confirmed it's secure. The shuttle maneuvered carefully through the debris, fielded and locked onto the station's docking port. With a metallic clunk and hiss of equalizing pressure, the airlock opened. 3 Valari waited on the other side, their slender bodies seeming almost fragile next to the armored human. Marines, one stepped forward, all 4 arms raised in what appeared to be a greeting gesture. We welcome you, humans of Earth. I am First Coordinator. Your arrival was unexpected, but most welcome. Sergeant Owens removed his helmet. Sergeant Greg Owens, United Earth Defense Force. We're here to help secure your station. These shuttles behind us carry medical and engineering teams. The Valari coordinator's large eyes blinked rapidly. You risked yourselves for strangers. Why? Because you asked for help, Sergeant Owens replied simply. That's what humans do. Before the conversation could continue, an alarm sounded throughout the station. The Cryax have regrouped, one of the other Valari said urgently. They're launching a new attack. Outside, the battle had entered a new phase. The remaining Krivax ships, still outnumbering the human vessels, had formed a tight attack formation and were approaching the station again. Their biotech ships seemed to have partially healed from the previous damage. Another surprise for the human forces. They're adapting to our weapons, Lieutenant Winters reported as the Ascendant absorbed another volley of energy blasts. Shields down to 53%. Admiral Donovan studied the tactical display. Their ships can regenerate. Interesting. We need to hit them harder and faster. Give them no time to recover. Captain Grant nodded. All ships, coordinate fire on the lead. Vessel, full spread of kinetic penetrators, followed by nuclear tip missiles. The human ships responded immediately, unleashing their most powerful conventional weapons. Railguns fired in sequence, followed by a barrage of missiles designed to deliver devastating payloads. The lead Krivak ship, a massive organic cruiser, nearly twice the size of the Ascendant, took multiple direct hits. Its bio-armor began to regenerate almost immediately, but the nuclear-tipped missile struck before repairs could complete. The explosion temporarily blinded the sensors as the CVX vessel was consumed in nuclear fire. When the sensors cleared, the enemy ship was gone, replaced by an expanding cloud of debris. The remaining Krivak vessels hesitated, clearly shocked by the destructive power of human weapons. "They're pulling back," Lieutenant Winters announced, regrouping at a safer distance. Captain Grant exchanged a look with Admiral Donovan. "They're reassessing us." "Again?" "Good," the Admiral replied. "It gives us time to strengthen our position. How are the boarding teams doing?" Sergeant Owens reports they secured the main docking area. The communications officer replied. "Medical and engineering teams are deploying throughout the station." Admiral Donovan nodded. "The KX won't give up so easily. This is just the beginning." On the view screen, they watched as the remaining KX ships maintained their distance, waiting. The battle for the Valeri station had only just begun. Inside the Valeri station, human engineering teams worked alongside their alien counterparts to repair critical systems. The crystalline structure of the station was unlike anything the humans had encountered before, yet they adapted quickly. Chief Engineer Abby Reeves from the Ascendant directed the repair efforts, fascinated by the alien technology. "Your power distribution system is amazing," she told her Valari counterpart, a tall engineer named Zevin. "The crystal matrices conduct energy more efficiently than our best superconductors. Yet your repair methods are ingenious," Zevin replied, watching as the human engineers use modified equipment to seal a breach in the station's hull. "You adapt so quickly to unfamiliar technology. Necessity is the mother of invention," Abby said with a smile. "When you grow up on a world that's constantly trying to kill you, you learn to improvise." Throughout the station, similar scenes played out. Human medical teams treated injured Valari, quickly learning about their alien physiology. The medical scanner technology the humans brought proved adaptable to Valeri biology. After some adjustments, Dr. Samantha Powell, the Ascendant's chief medical officer, worked tirelessly alongside her team. "Their cellular structure is remarkable," she told Captain Grant during a brief status report. "Their bodies naturally produce trace amounts of metals that form into a crystalline matrix within their cells. It makes them more resistant to radiation than we would expect for such seemingly fragile beings." In the station's command center, first, Coordinator Era met with Admiral Donovan and Captain Grant to discuss their situation. The elegant Valari moved with a fluid grace that made her forearms seem to flow rather than simply move. "The Kryax want our crystal technology," she explained. "Our people have evolved alongside these crystals for millennia. We can grow and shape them in ways no other species has mastered. The Cax believe they can use our biologics to enhance their ships, and they're willing to destroy your entire station for it?" Captain Grant asked. Era's large eyes blinked slowly. "The Krivak, they are a hive species with a collective consciousness. Individuals mean nothing to them." Admiral Donovan studied the tactical display. "They've been holding position for nearly 2 hours. That's not typical behavior for an attacking force that had the upper hand. They're waiting for something," Captain Grant suggested, as if on cue. Lieutenant Winters called over the comm system. "Admiral Captain, we're detecting new energy signatures at the edge of the system. More CVAC ships are arriving." Admiral Donovan's expression darkened. "How many?" "At least 15 vessels, sir, including what appears to be a dreadnought class ship nearly 3 times the size of the Ascendant." First Coordinator's posture changed, her slender form seeming to shrink. "That is a hive ship. It carries a brood queen. The Kryax were not simply attacking us. They were holding us for her arrival." Admiral Donovan and Captain Grant exchanged concerned looks. "What exactly does that mean for us?" The Admiral asked. "The brood queen will coordinate their forces with far greater efficiency, Era explained. And her ship carries thousands of warrior drones that can be deployed for boarding actions. Captain Grant's mind raced with this new information. How long until the reinforcements arrive? Approximately 1 hour at their current speed. Lieutenant Winters replied over the comm. Admiral Donovan nodded grimly. We need to strengthen our defenses and prepare for a much bigger fight. He turned to Alara. Does your station have any defensive capabilities we haven't activated yet? The Valari hesitated. There is one system, but it requires significant power. Power we cannot spare, while maintaining life support. What kind of system? Captain, Grant asked. A crystal resonance field. It can disrupt the organic components of the back ships, but has limited range and draws enormous energy. Admiral Donovan thought for a moment. What if we could provide the power from our ships? Back on the Ascendants. Bridge, Lieutenant Winters and Science Officer Wright worked frantically to analyze the approaching Kryax. Reinforcements. The Hive ship's energy signature is unlike anything we've seen before, Wright reported. It's putting out 10 times the power of the other vessels. Any weaknesses we can exploit? Lieutenant Winters asked. Wright studied. The readings. Possibly. The ship's power core seems to be concentrated in one section. If we could hit it with enough force, we'd need to get past there. Entire fleet first, Winters pointed out. Meanwhile, Sergeant Greg Owens and his Marine squad have been assigned to secure the station's outer docking rings. They moved carefully through damaged corridors. The artificial gravity, fluctuating unpredictably. Stay alert, Owens told his team. We don't know if any Kryax boarding parties made inside before we arrived. Private Diane Foster, the squad's communication specialist, suddenly held up her hand. Sarge, I'm picking up movement ahead. The Marines took defensive positions as their motion sensors detected multiple contacts approaching. Sergeant Owens signaled for silence as they waited, weapons ready. Around the corner came 3 insect-like forms, each nearly 7 feet tall with chitinous armor and sharp mandibles. Kryvax warriors. Contact! Sergeant Owens shouted as the aliens charged forward with surprising speed. The Marines opened fire, their bullets designed to penetrate armor. The first, Kryax, went down. Green fluid sprang from multiple wounds, but the other 2 kept coming. One knocked Private Foster's weapon aside with a powerful limb and lunged at her with its mandibles. Foster reacted with the heightened reflexes that came from growing up in Earth's 1G gravity. She ducked under the attack and drove a combat knife into a joint in the alien's exoskeleton. The Kryax shrieked and stumbled back, only to be finished by a burst of gunfire from another Marine. Everyone okay? Sergeant Owens asked as the brief but intense firefight ended. These things are tough, Foster replied, retrieving her weapon. But they're not used to fighting humans. And there might be more of them, Owens said grimly. We need to clear the entire sector. Back in the command center, Admiral Donovan finalized their defensive plan with Captain Grant and First Coordinator Era will position our ships in a staggered formation around the station. He explained, the Ascendant and Intrepid will provide power to the crystal resonance field while the other 3 ships maintain defensive positions. What about the Hive ship? Captain Grant asked. Admiral Donovan's expression was determined. If we can disrupt the smaller vessels with the resonance field, we might create an open to strike at the Hive ship directly. We'll need to coordinate our nuclear missiles to hit their power core simultaneously. Era looked at the humans with a mixture of hope and disbelief. You would risk yourselves. Further for us. The Kvak outnumber you significantly. Now we didn't come all this way to give up, Admiral Donovan said simply. Besides, Earth has a saying, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. As they finalized the details of their plan, Lieutenant Winters reported from the Ascendant, Sir, the Kryax fleet is accelerating. They'll be here in 30 minutes, not the hour we estimated. Admiral Donovan nodded. Then we work faster. All ships battle stations. This is where we make our stand throughout. The human vessels and across the Valari station. Preparations intensified. Engineers established power connections between the human ships and the station. Weapon systems were recharged and recalibrated. Marine teams secured vulnerable areas against potential boarding actions. The stage was set for the final confrontation between the human defenders and the approaching Kryvax armada. The massive Kryax hive ship emerged from the darkness of space like a nightmare made real. Its organic hull pulsed with veins of bioluminescent energy, and countless smaller craft swarmed around it like angry insects defending their queen. The original Kryax fleet joined with the reinforcements, forming a wall of deadly ships advancing toward the Valari station. On the Ascendance Bridge, Admiral Donovan watched the enemy approach with calm determination. Status of power transfer to the crystal resonance field. Connection established. Chief Engineer Abby Reeves reported from her position at the engineering station. The Valari engineers are calibrating the system now. They estimate 3 minutes until activation. We may not have 3 minutes. Captain Grant observed as she studied the tactical display. The CVX fleet is accelerating. As if to confirm her words, the view screen flickered and a new Cox appeared. Unlike the commander they had spoken to earlier, this one was larger, with an ornate carapace and multiple appendages adorned with what appeared to be biological jewelry. The Brood Queen. Primitive creatures, she hissed her, voice deeper and more resonant than the previous commanders. You have interfered in matters beyond your understanding. The Valari and their crystal technology belong to the Krivak Imperium. Admiral Donovan stood tall. The Valari don't belong to anyone. They asked for help and we answered. I suggest you withdraw your forces before more of your ships are destroyed. The Brood Queen's compound eyes seemed to flash with anger. Your species is young and ignorant. You do not understand the order of the galaxy. The strong consume the weak. It is a natural way. Maybe where you come from, Admiral Donovan replied. But humans have a different perspective. We believe in protecting those who cannot protect themselves. Then you will die with them, the Brood Queen declared. No more delays. No more warnings. The transmission cut off, and the Kryvax fleet surged forward as one. All ships, defensive positions. Admiral Donovan ordered by the Valari time to activate the resonance field. The 5 human vessels moved to intercept the oncoming armada. Looking impossibly small against the wall of Casey's ships, they opened fire with everything they had. Rail guns launching kinetic penetrators, missile barges filling space with deadly projectiles, point defense systems tracking and destroying incoming attacks. The Defender, smallest of the human ships, took a direct hit from 3 Civax cruisers firing simultaneously. Its shields failed, and a second volley tore through its hull. Defender is reporting critical damage. Lieutenant Winters called out. They're venting atmosphere on decks 3 through 7. Order them to fall back behind the station. Captain Grant commanded. Guardian moved to cover their retreat. Anye, the Valari station. First Coordinator worked frantically alongside her engineers and the human teams to bring the crystal resonance field online. The power from the human ships flowed into the station systems, energizing crystals that had lain dormant for years. The field generators are at 85%. Error reported to the Admiral via comlink. We need just a little more time. Throughout the station, human marines and station security forces prepared for the possibility of enemy boarding parties. Sergeant Owens and his squad had set up defensive positions near critical systems, knowing the CVAC would target these areas first. Remember your training, he told his Marines. Aim for the joints in their exoskeletons. Short control bursts. Make every shot count. In space, the battle intensified. The human ships fought with everything they had, using maneuvers that confused the Kryax targeting systems. The UES Valiant executed a tight spiral around 2 enemy cruisers, firing continuously as it did so. The UES Guardian took position in front of the damaged offender, absorbing fire meant for the crippled ship. The Ascendant and Intrepid maintained their positions near the station, providing power for the resonance field while their weapons kept the closest enemies at bay. But the sheer number of Kriak's vessels was overwhelming. For every ship they damaged or destroyed, 3 more took its place, shields down to 30%. The engineering officer reported as the Ascendant shuddered under another barrage. Hull breaches on decks 5 and 8. Damage control teams responding. Captain Grant gripped her chair as the ship rocked again. How much longer for? The resonance field? Admiral Donovan checked the status report from the station. Error reports 98% almost there. The hive ship moved inexorably closer, its massive form dwarfing even the largest human vessel. Weapon ports open along its hull, glowing with charged energy. They're targeting the station directly, Lieutenant Winters warned. Energy buildup detected in the hive ship's main weapon array. Admiral Donovan made a split-second decision. Ascendant, intercept course, put us between the hive ship and the station. Captain Grant nodded sharply. Helm, new course, full impulse. Get us between that weapon and the station now. The Ascendant surged forward, engines straining as it moved to shield the Valari station. The hive ship's weapons discharged just as a human vessel slid into position. The energy beam struck the Ascendant directly, overwhelming its weakened shields and carving a deep gouge along its port side. Alarms blared throughout the ship as systems failed, and fires broke out. The bridge lights flickered, switching to emergency power. Multiple hull breaches. The engineering officer shouted over the noise. Power fluctuations across all decks. Weapon systems are offline. Despite the damage, they had accomplished their goal. The RE station remained intact, and on its command deck, First Coordinator activated the crystal resonance field. The effect was immediate and stunning. A wave of shimmering energy expanded outward from the station, washing over the battlefield. As it touched the Kriak's vessels, their organic hulls began to vibrate and distort. The smaller ships lost control first, spinning away from their formation as their biological systems failed. Even the larger cruisers showed signs of distress, their movements becoming erratic. It's working, Lieutenant Winters exclaimed. The CVAC ships are losing coherence. The hive ship, however, seemed less affected. It slowed but continued to advance, its massive bulk pushing through the resonance field. The field isn't strong enough to stop the hive ship completely, Admiral, Donovan observed, but it's their weak point. Now, all ships with operational weapons target the hive ship's power core. The Intrepid, Valiant, and Guardian responded immediately, launching everything they had at the massive vessel. The Defender, despite its damage, managed to fire a single nuclear missile from its remaining launcher. Multiple explosions blossomed across the hive ship's hull as the human attacks found their mark. For a moment, it seemed the massive vessel would shrug off even this assault. Then a chain reaction began deep within its structure. Explosions rippled along its length as secondary systems failed and power conduits ruptured. The hive ship is breaking up, Lieutenant Winters reported, unable to keep the excitement from his voice. The remaining CVAC vessels began to retreat, moving away from both the resonance field and their dying flagship. Without the Brood Queen's coordination, their attacks became disorganized and ineffective. Admiral Donovan watched as the hive ship split apart, secondary explosions continuing to tear through its remains. Status report on our fleet. Defender is severely damaged but stable. Guardian and Valiant reporting moderate damage. Intrepid has minor damage to its outer hull. Ascendant. Captain Grant paused, looking at the damage reports flowing in. We've seen better days, sir, but we're still here. On the Valari station, cheers erupted as they watched the CVAC fleet retreat. First Coordinator contacted the Admiral, her voice filled with emotion. You saved us against impossible odds. You saved us. The Valari will never forget what humanity has done this day. Admiral Donovan smiled tiredly, just answering the call coordinator. That's what humans do. In the days that followed, repair teams worked to stabilize both the damaged human ships and the Valari station. The KX did not return, and long-range scans indicated their fleet had left the system entirely. A week after the battle, representatives from the Galactic Concord arrived, surprised to find Earth ships so far from their solar system. They were even more surprised to learn what had transpired. You responded to a distress call from a species you had never met. The Concord representative said to Admiral Donovan during a formal meeting, "You fought against overwhelming odds to protect them. This is unexpected behavior from a species we classified as potentially dangerous. Perhaps Admiral Donovan suggested you should reconsider what makes a species dangerous. Yes, humans evolved on what you call a death world. Yes, we're stronger and more durable than many species because of it. But those same traits that make us dangerous also make us very good protectors." The Concord representative considered this. "Your actions have forced us to reevaluate our assessment of humanity. The quarantine classification will be reviewed." As the human ships prepared to return home weeks later, the Valari presented them with gifts of advanced crystal technology and offered a formal alliance with Earth. First Coordinator personally thanked each ship commander